Popular culture paints a portrait of the post-war years in the US as an era of domestic tranquility. In reality, activism was alive and well. The 40s and 50s set the stage for a fundamental shift in the US political landscape.
So the 1960s, women were still operating in a kind of severely patriarchal society in both their kind of professional and personal lives. Women, specifically Black women, were fighting against racial discrimination, specifically around social inequalities, such as housing, education, labor, and political representation.
The vanguard of the growing feminist movement was the National Organization for Women.
A hallmark of the women's movement was a kind of impatience, warranted impatience. Now that we're here, if we don't do it now, who's going to do it? The National Organization for Women came out of frustration at not getting their agenda seriously considered by those in government. Promises made, promises not kept.
New York saw an increase in the participation of women in politics. Women took up the challenge. In New York, the daughter of Jamaican immigrants began an old-fashioned rise up the Democratic Party machine.
Shirley Chisholm is what we consider a daughter of Brooklyn. She does not get involved in politics because of some ideological yearning. There wasn't a watershed moment that was happening in the United States or New York. Her entry into Brooklyn politics really comes as a concerned constituent.
Chisholm entered politics to improve the lives of the people in her Brooklyn neighborhood.
She's a volunteer. She decides to do the work that most women were relegated to do, which was stuffing envelopes and canvassing and doing fundraising, and did all of that kind of work. But then it became quite clear to her that African American women never had leadership positions.
Chisholm was determined to make a difference. In 1965, she won election to the New York State Assembly. She advocated for a higher minimum wage, better access to daycare, and extension of unemployment benefits to domestic workers, issues of importance to her constituents. In 1969, she leveraged her political skills and connections to become the first Black woman to serve in Congress. In Washington, she continued to prioritize the social reform issues that she championed at the state level. Her staff was entirely female, and half of them were Black women. And in 1971, she became a founding member of the National Women's Political Caucus to encourage and prepare more women to run for office. In 1972, Chisholm became the first Black woman to seek a major party's presidential nomination. It was deeply symbolic for the nation and New York.
And so for Shirley Chisholm to run for the presidency, to try to formulate a coalition of marginalized people was very difficult. People were not ready for an identity politics to operate in a specific way, specifically coming from the body of a Black woman.
Chisholm finished far behind the eventual nominee, but her 1972 campaign raised issues of importance to communities of color and to women. After her presidential run, she continued her work in Congress for another 10 years. She returned to education and continued to mentor a new generation of New York political leaders. In the years that followed, women from across the New York political, racial, ethnic, and geographic spectrum became politically active.
It is normative now. It is not unusual to see a woman running for office. And that's a great thing to be able to say.
It has only been 100 years since women won the right to vote. In that time, many women served as local officials, and many served in the state assembly and Senate. New York women serve in the United States House of Representatives and the Senate. It is an incredible record built on the work of many women who refuse to give up on the idea of social, civic, and gender equality. It is a great New York story and one with no end in sight.